So how do you as a salon owner survive and thrive during the cost of living crisis, especially here in the UK? First, I apologise, I have a cough, so maybe that'll interrupt things a little bit, so forgive me. Well, the main principles of business never change, whether you have a salon or a coffee shop. Nothing ever changes, and one of those founding principles is staying in control of the cash. Now, one thing I find quite common during any business meeting or breakthrough meeting or trying to fix a business, a salon business, is that most salon businesses or business owners don't really have control of the cash. What does that really mean? It means that they don't know what is really going out and what is really coming in. All they know is there's money to spend or there's not money to spend. So one of the best ways of surviving and thriving during a cost of living crisis is, first of all, look at ways you can control or cut back a little bit on cash waste. Now, I'm telling you this in reverse because that is not your number one priority. So what you need to do is you need to look at ways that you can not necessarily cut back cash, but see where there's waste. Now, obviously, in a salon, it's common to use a whole bowl of tint when actually only half a bowl is needed, and sometimes a quarter of a bowl. And the same with all the services. How much waste is actually being wasted? So it's worth spending a couple of days or a couple of hours, depending on the salon size, having a look at the daily costs, the daily running costs of the salon. Because the daily running costs of the salon can be dramatically changed, whether there is a cost of living crisis or not. That one thing could save you tens or hundreds or even thousands of pounds or dollars every single week without fail, because I've seen it happen. The second thing is, during the cost of living crisis, remember this will affect what your clients spend, so it will affect your salon income. The second thing, of course, is how do we increase our salon income when people have less to spend? Because when people have less to spend, instead of coming every 5 or 6 weeks, or in some cases every 10 or 12 weeks, they may come every 7 or 8 weeks or every 14 weeks, which really can be a little bit of a disaster for a salon if they're not in control of it. What you really need to focus on is two things. One, a specialist service. Do you have a specialist service running in your salon, which clients can only get in your town? And of course, the second part of a specialist service is that you charge more, which means your average bill goes much higher. Now listen, during a cost of living crisis or during a recession or during a time when people have this mental thing going on that there's not as much money around, most of the time there is money around, but people are more careful where they spend it. So you have to give clients a reason to spend that cash with you. So a basic fundamental of business is really controlling the cash, cost of living crisis or not. But during a cost of living crisis, they will have you have to give them a better or a stronger or a more compelling reason to spend their money in your salon. And if they are not spending money in your salon, I can bet you this, they're spending it in somebody's salon. So this is where two things you can do. One, you can review all your daily spend and daily waste, cash waste. And two, of course, you can look at ways you can introduce a specialist service. And what that will do for you is it will give you an increase on your average bill. Does this work? Yes, I've seen hairdressers go from £21 average bill to as high as £171 for an average bill, just by introducing a specialist service. So this is Alan, the Salon Fixer, Salon Mentor, just trying to help you through a little bit more through this cost of living crisis. You know, there's one thing I will add on the cost of living crisis is don't panic, which means don't start shutting services down. Don't start cutting everything to the bone. Don't start letting staff go because your clients will notice. This is a time for you to level up, to increase what you're doing in your salon, increase the service, increase the quality, and increase everything else without spending any cash. Can that be done? Of course it can. It just takes a little bit of mental reconfiguration. And just, sorry, another thing I want to add on that is try to avoid the negative daily conversation. Oh, what are you doing over the cost of living crisis? Oh yeah, we're doing this. Oh, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be so on and so on. I opened my biggest salon during one of the biggest recessions we had in the UK, which was the 1991 recession. And I didn't even know there was a recession going on. So just try to avoid that negative conversation. So let's go back. Control the daily spend. See if we can cut back and save a little bit, but do not compromise the service. And 2, look for somewhere to introduce a specialist service which will increase your average bill in your salon. This is Alan at salonpunk.com, helping you through fixing and building and breaking through your salon.